crazy excited for this game right here. I've been looking forward to Helldivers for just a good fat minute. The first one, I never really got to play. I played like a smidge bit of it, but I loved the idea of it.
Keeping managed democracy safe with the lives of our heroes. Protecting freedom from tyranny with the gentle touch of an iron fist.
And they lean
but
way
liberty's
more into
enemies
the
march ever closer. Together, we must take back control of freedom.
Together for managed democracy.
Together for victory.
Together for liberty.
Together for liberty.
Together, they
Just
fight
replace
for
that guy.
freedom. Will you?
Oh yeah, got the ODST drop. They do look like ODST troopers, don't they? And I hope there's still friendly fire.
In the galaxy's elite
Looks like you can still customize your armor. Gosh, this looks nuts. The only thing that I'm worried about for this second one, because this one does look like a shooter. Oh, I see two people holding up this rocket launcher. I hope they still have like things like this in the game. Because in the first game, you had to. I thought it was great. How like you had to start the computer, but you had to put in like these. You had to put in these directional pads. So like whenever you were like working on the computer in the game, you had to be like up, down, left, right, select. You know, and while these bugs are attacking you, and it just put pressure on you, I thought it was really cool. And I hope they still have like little things like that where you have to start up a computer and you have to enter these sequences and these freaking alien bugs are coming after you. Same thing with this, that two people have to use a rocket launcher in order for it to like just pop off, and maybe it's a really good rocket launcher and you have to like yell at your friend like, get over here, use it, and like one person has to aim while the other person fires. Oh dude, it would be great.
Together.
Even if one person is still doing the aiming and firing, I think it would be great. What is that? Wait, why are they blowing up an actual tank? What's happening here? There's rebels? Oh, there's robots.
Dispense peace with the ultimate.
Look at that. There you go. See those? You can bring down those turrets. I'm worried that we're going to lose some of that, but if we do, it'll be okay. I thought that was just a really cool feature in the game. Oh, that's a lot of landmines. Oh my god, that's a lot of landmines.
A legend.
I'm so excited for this game. They got Terminators, pistols. I want there to be just a pistol. This is a big ass pistol.
Join the Helldivers, the galaxy's last line of offense.
I can't wait. I want to watch some gameplay. Is there recent gameplay of it? Because that's what I want to watch right now. That was the official launch trailer. Helldivers 2 gameplay. There's the 11 things you need to know before you buy. I don't know if I want to watch that, but there's just straight up 10 minutes of gameplay right here. Let's see what the 11 things you need to know before you buy.
It's been nearly a decade since Arrowhead Game Studios and Sony launched the first Helldivers. And though it was a pretty small production as a whole, the game garnered enough of a dedicated fan base to warrant a sequel.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, is like when you have these small game developers like this, they have like a dream that they want to do. And in order to like, they follow that dream, and because they weren't like as big as Call of Duty, but they held just a loyal cult following, like a loyal cult fan base, they were able to make a sequel that's probably even more closer to what their actual dream is. Or even if it wasn't closer to the actual dream, like I said, like they strayed away from what the original game is, and they are now marketing it to a larger audience. So now it does look more like Call of Duty. It does look more like that, but it's super unique in the fact that it's like it's sci-fi Monster Hunter. It's sci-fi Call of Duty Monster Hunter. And I think that's the greatest part. But you can tell that it's still holding on to a lot of the charm that made it great originally.
Sequel is, at long last, almost upon us. And based on what we've
Look
seen...
at that. Look at that. See that? See that? That's the kind of shit that I want from this game.
That sequel is, at long last, almost upon us.
See, he shot his rocket launcher, and he can't shoot another one, and this dude's got just like a whole shit ton of rockets on his back, and he needs to load it up for his friend.
And based on what we've seen of it so far...
That's the kind of shit that I want, because I don't want it to be a Call of Duty clone. I love that it's its own thing. I love that there's that type of teamwork in it that like forces you to play with other people in a way that can make you lose your friend. I want friendships to be lost because of incompatibility. Look at the top left. Reinforcements. Up, down, left, right. Select. It's there. They kept it. Yes. All right, we're in, guys. We're in.
Looking like it's trying to strike a balance between capturing its predecessor's essence and reinventing its formula in very interesting ways.
See, just like
With
I said.
Helldivers 2
What did I
releasing
say?
not long from now, here we're going to talk about how it's doing that and a
Jeez
few other
Louise, dude,
details
all
that
the
you should
orbital
know about it.
strikes look
Premise.
nuts.
Helldivers 2 will once again put players in the shoes of the titular Helldivers, elite soldiers who are sworn to protecting
ODST
freedom
drop.
and peace in a
That's some
hostile
badass.
galaxy where deadly alien threats are wreaking havoc. Like its predecessor, it will continue to depict its world as a dystopian one, even from the humans' perspective, with Super Earth's population
like
being
Starship
subjugated
Troopers.
under what's known
Very
as
heavy on the
superdemocracy,
Starship Trooper part.
and the population has become indoctrinated by the government to save the planet's way of life.
Together for managed democracy.
There it is.
Together for victory.
We just saw
Together
that.
for liberty.
Together for liberty.
I
Third
love that.
person.
How he instantly gets
There are
your-
several
oh my
elements
god.
that Helldivers 2 is carrying forward from the first game,
Yeah.
which we'll get into in a bit. But at the same time,
Look at
it's
that.
also changing things up in some pretty radical ways.
Jeez
Probably the
Louise.
most significant among them is the fact that where the original Helldivers was a top-down shooter, Helldivers 2 is going to be a fully fledged third-person experience.
Which I'm
How
okay
that will
with.
affect the moment-to-moment gameplay and how the action generally feels, well, that remains to be seen.
I think it will make it not necessarily better. It will be different, but I do think it will fit the game style look. I mean, the first thing that you have to notice, and I'm not one to care about graphics that much. I'm all about like the gameplay, but the game is prettier, which will attract just a general audience overall. The second thing you have to understand is that having it be third person like this, I know there's a lot of people that don't like the over the shoulder shooter kind of thing, but with a game where you can customize your character and put on your skins and things like that, a lot of people care about their aesthetics. You hear me? A lot of people love looking at their ass, and because of that, they're having it be in third person, I think, is also a big win. Fashion, I know.
But again, a number of familiar elements and mechanics will be returning. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
co-op and tactics. Many
Co-op
have called
and
the first
tactics.
Helldivers one of the most enjoyable co-op games of its
Yeah.
time, owing to how heavily
I agree. It was, again, I wish I had played the game more. The reason it's so enjoyable is because it was a shooter where you actually had to work together with your team in a way that wasn't so, oh man, gosh, how do I explain it? That wasn't so traditional. Like it broke, it's kind of like how it, even though it was top down, right? It fulfilled like the ability to just like mess around with your teammates and interact with your teammates in ways that we wish we could in other video games. Instead of just like, oh, hold this point and kill everything, it's like you feel like you're actually typing on the computer. It was very immersive. You like the guy loading the rockets for his buddy, just stuff like that, just making it feel like you guys have to like do this. You have to interact together to make it happen, instead of like everyone playing a certain role and you're shooting healing bullets at the other person and it feels kind of like an MMO. It was very interactive, and there was a bunch of small little that seemed creative, but things that made it feel more like realistic. And there's something cool about like making a fantasy sci-fi type game realistic to create just like more task to do in the game. And I think that's why people really love it just scratches that itch that we love so much.
It emphasized cooperation and actual strategy.
Yep.
Helldivers 2 is going to be cut from the same cloth based on what Arrowhead Game Studios has said and shown so far. Though, like the first game, it can be played solo. Playing in 4-player squads is going to be the ideal way forward, with the game encouraging and rewarding proper teamwork and strategizing. Stratagems.
I like that you can play by yourself.
Another key mechanic from the first Helldivers that's returning in the sequel is stratagems.
There it is.
For those
That's what I
unfamiliar,
love.
these are powerful tools that you can use through specific button combos to call in special support in the form of airdrops for better weaponry, stronger gear, additional supplies, and even bomb strikes on enemies. Even more so than its predecessor, it's looking like Helldivers 2 will place quite a bit of emphasis on tailoring your playstyle to your requirements using different stratagems, and properly coordinating them with what your squad mates have equipped. More stratagem details.
Okay.
Based on what Arrowhead Game Studios has revealed so far, we can expect plenty of variety in the stratagems on offer in Helldivers 2, each benefiting and encouraging different styles of gameplay. If, for instance, you're a more defensive-minded player or want to play the role of a tank in your squad, you can call in better defensive gear, or even something like a shield generator.
That
While
sounds
a more
badass,
offensive, assault-focused player could call in deadlier, heavy weaponry.
That's
Different
what I'm talking about
stratagems
right there.
will also provide unique benefits based on what enemies you're fighting, like armor-piercing weapons being particularly effective against mechanical or armored foes.
It looks like those are
customization.
all that you find.
Layered progression mechanics and deeper customization systems are being touted for Helldivers 2, and that'll seemingly manifest in several ways.
I'm gonna get
We've
Salvador
already
to play
spoken
this
about
game.
the stratagems and the variety they're touting in the unique abilities and advantages they will bring, while beyond that, players will have plenty of options in the different weapons, weapon types, and gears they have equipped. From being relatively more stealthy...
and I think that's real important. I think it's real important, even though like you can't see your character. I think being able to customize your character is the biggest thing. Now, will people be pissed if there's... Because this is a game that you buy. So if there's like an online shop, I mean, I won't be surprised, but that would be kind of annoying. What I would want, I'm pretty sure like if you have a whole set, it gives you an upgrade. I'm also pretty sure that if like you mix and match things, you can make it happen. I just want there to be a transmog. That's what I want there to be. Now, it's real easy, especially if the armor has stats, to turn it into a pay to win game, and I really hope it doesn't do that. This game can easily fall off if they make it pay to win. But because it's so cooperative, maybe people won't care as much, but it looks like they haven't said anything about that or mentioned anything about that. And I don't think the developers want that. They seem like they're people that have a dream for this game and they want it to do that. And they never did that in the first game. So everything's looking like it's going to move the way we want it to move.
To going in all guns blazing, to taking a more ranged approach and calling in airstrikes from a distance,
I do like the
Helldivers 2 will
airstrikes.
apparently let players choose between a variety of different playstyles, and will let you craft your build to suit your particular needs. Friendly fire. A key feature of the original Helldivers that's returning in the sequel is friendly fire always being on. Chaos on the battlefield and a unique risk-reward layer were among...
And that's another thing about the game that like makes it its own thing, is that you have to play with friendly fire on. There's no toggling it off, catering to people or anything like that. It's you gotta play with friendly fire on.
Helldivers' biggest defining traits. And Helldivers 2.
Yep, you hear that? It's its biggest defining. Yep, that's what you get. That's what you get for spawning there.
To keep the chaos as much as possible.
Don't spawn there.
And ensure that they don't end up sabotaging themselves and their squad mates, especially when things get particularly hectic. Enemies.
Yeah, it's real easy
Helldivers saw players going up against 3 hostile enemy factions, and you'll be locking horns with multiple factions in Helldivers 2 as well. The bug-like aliens are, of course, returning, and we've seen plenty of them in gameplay footage and trailers so far, while the cyborgs, now being referred to as automatons, have been shown as well. Whether the third faction from the first game, the Illuminates, will return, or if we can maybe expect a new faction as well, remains to be seen. PC requirements. Like the original game, Sony is going to release Helldivers 2 on both PlayStation and PC, and unlike the original, it's going to launch simultaneously
I won't be able to play with
both.
Salvador. That sucks.
So what kind of a rig will you need if you want to play Helldivers 2 on PC? The requirements aren't particularly demanding. On minimum settings, you'll need either an i7 4790K or a Ryzen 5 1500X. along with either a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti or a Radeon RX 470, and 8 GB of RAM. Meanwhile, on recommended settings, you'll either need an i7 9700K or a Ryzen 7 3700X, along with either a GeForce RTX 2060 or a Radeon RX 6600 XT and 16 gigs of RAM.
100 gigabytes of available
you'll also
space?
need 100 gigabytes of free storage space.
That's the only thing I understand. Damn, that's a lot.
Settings.
Why so much?
Crossplay. Given the fact that Sony is doing a simultaneous launch on PC and PS5 for what is very much a multiplayer focused.
This is what's great about like a game like this is that nobody's gonna bitch and moan about aim assist because because the game's not designed for multiplayer. And another thing is a lot of times like an RPG game gets built and then multiplayer gets put into it, and the game is almost built around the multiplayer aspect, even though the focus is the RPG part. It just makes it so annoying for those people. What's going on, man? Welcome to the stream.
This game, it would be more than a little baffling if crossplay wasn't supported. Thankfully, that isn't the case.
Yeah.
And Sony has confirmed that Helldivers 2 will allow PC and PS5 players to play with each other without any restrictions.
A lot of rocket launchers.
Helldivers 2 is clearly not one of Sony's bigger flagship releases, nor is the company presenting it that way, which of course is being reflected in its price as well, with the standard edition retailing for $39.99 on
That's
both
crazy that this game's coming out for like $40. That's crazy that this game's coming out for $40.
With the standard edition retailing for
I want to see these guys. And
$39.99 on both platforms.
And we had to pay, what was it? What was the game that for Avatar that came out by Ubisoft? We had to pay nearly $70 for that game. And that game's just a reskin of Far Cry with like no story. And then here comes this game that's super like innovative, different than all other games, and it's only $40. That's what's wild. Is like this game to me, with the value that it could potentially give, is something that I would be willing to pay $60 for. Now, there's probably not a lot to do in the game. Let's be honest. There's probably not going to be a lot to do. They're probably going to be like the first game where like there's going to be online activities where the community has to come together to fight off invasions, and that's okay. And for $40, you know what? It already sounds like a good time. Just by looking at this game, I'm okay with paying $40 for it.
Forms. As you would expect, though, players can also purchase a $59.99 deluxe edition called the Super Citizen Edition, which will include a number of additional in-game bonuses and items.
Pay to win right there.
And with that, we reach the end of this video.
There you
Have
go,
anything
pay
to
to
say?
win.
Let us know in the comments below.
There you
also,
go.
we upload new videos every single day on Gaming Bolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out.
I'm real excited for this game. I can't wait for this to come out. And we'll be playing it on stream. Hopefully the week of release for sure.